Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Our dear viewers, may the peace and blessings of Allah Almighty be upon you all. Welcome once again to Why Religion. This new series coming to you from MTA Gambia, from here in our studios in Talinding. As you know, under the series of Why Religion, we discuss various topics of interest to you, our dear viewers, topics of discussion where we can increase our knowledge, our understanding, and most importantly, our application of these different topics that we discuss that affect us in one way or the other. Today, the topic we have for you is something that has to do with ourselves individually and as a society in aspect or in respect to our country of origin, our country of residence, the places we find ourselves in. Our responsibilities towards our homeland and how we should all get together and serve in an individual capacity as well as in a collective capacity as well. To discuss this program today here in the studio, I have with myself on my immediate right, Brother Fabakary Kalleh, who is a peace educator. He is a peace activist. He's here to join us once again. I'm sure you've seen him before in our previous programs to discuss this topic. Brother Fabakary, welcome to the show. And on my far right is our very able Ustaz, our teacher, Ustaz Ebrima Jr., who is a graduate of Jamia Ahmadiyya Ghana. That is the missionary training college of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. He graduated from Ghana and he is now serving in the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat of Gambia. Welcome to the program, Brother Ebrima as well. As I said in the introduction, today we'll be looking at loyalty to our country of origin, to our country of residence. But the topic of loyalty is something that sometimes is misconstrued, it's misunderstood. Does it mean blind loyalty? Does it mean, when you have to stand up? How do you react to loyalty? What does it actually mean? To start with you, Brother Fabakary Kalleh, when we hear the word loyalty, what does it mean to you that you would want to share with our viewers?
Okay, Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Thank you very much for inviting me here once again. Like you said, loyalty had been misconstrued to mean nationalism. So I want to start with that one. Nationalism perhaps would mean that loving one's country more than any other. I mean, that's with the belief that my country is the best, all others are not. And contrarily, loyalty, it's stems from patriotism, which is the belief and devotion to one's country. Loyalty is used in many concepts. It's either to faith, to one's country of origin or country of residence. So when we say you are loyal to your country, we mean you like your country and you are prepared to give to that country what the country requires of you within the context of being a good citizen. And if you are not a citizen, within the context of being a good resident. It entails respecting the ideals of the country. It entails respecting the identity of a country, because every country have their own identities. They have their founding policies and philosophies. So believing in them, and it also entails not competing, but cooperating with every other citizen in that country. So it's not only me making it up, but ensuring that your success and everybody's success in that country is ensured and guaranteed by you. For me, that is what loyalty to country entails.
Absolutely. And from an Islamic perspective, we'll go to our brother Ebrima Jr. Sahib. So when we talk about loyalty in Islam to one's country, what can you tell us about that?
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim, bismillahir rahmanir rahim. The Holy Prophet ﷺ has taught us a very famous quote now, a hadith, saying, Hubbul watan min al-iman. With all the words, with all the fine words that have been attached to defining what loyalty and patriotism to a nation is, you find out that it all boils down to the same word, which is love. So if you once and for all have love for your country, you will be dedicated to the country, you serve the country with utmost happiness, you will do everything possible. You can go to the extreme to serve your nation and the interest of the people of your nation. So for us, it's not a question of being patriotic or not. For us, it's a question of being religious, because once you love your country, that has become part of your faith. And if you have lost that love you should have for your country, it means then there is a part of your faith that is yet to be completed.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's very beautiful. Coming back to you, Brother Fabakary, you touched on this briefly. Sometimes some level of discipline is needed. We have seen cases where some nations have gone to become bigots. Bigotry has taken over, which is not very finely defined, or differences have not been made between bigotry and patriotism. Sometimes it's misunderstood, where people think I am better, or my nation is better, or you know, it leads to nationalism, it leads to racism. There's a superiority complex. You know, we've seen the likes of, you know, Germany in many years ago, likes of Hitler, and some leaders up to this day tend to say, I have to prove that we are better and everyone else is lower than us. You know, we've seen colonization, we've seen slavery. Now, when we look at all of these, which have gone to the far extreme, and as you've touched, for you to throw some more light into this, how can one be loyal, be a patriot, without having to worry too much about others? I think that's something that needs to be highlighted. You can promote the values of your country, of your nation, be loyal to it, without it being at the cost of others. How can somebody keep that discipline within themselves?
Okay, thank you. I mean, first we go back to the nature of human beings as human beings. I think the last program I've raised it that we as human, every human is selfish in nature, and for which reason we as human tend to put our interests above the interest of the other party. Right. Okay, and this mainly comes within the context of identity, and in the context of being loyal to your nation, or being a patriot, or being a nationalist, is attaching your interest to your nation. And within the context of interests and values and needs of people, there is a group of people, or a tendency within people, that believes that their interests and needs are more superior than the interests and the needs of the others. And that concept breeds what we call internalized superiority. And wherever you stand with somebody else, your concept, your belief, your identity, your need should take, advantage over the others, irrespective of what others think about you, but you think, your belief, your concept. So that builds up what we call nationalism, in which case we look at our country as being the best. And whatever is going to happen to us, to our country, or to anybody within our country, we give preference to that than any other identity. And we are prepared to go to the extra mile, to kill for, to fight for, to enslave, to colonize, to annex other states or other people, whether by force or by ideological means, or through other means, in which case we intend to kill their national identity, and produce our own identity to cover up their identity, so that they buy into our identity. This is not good, because what it does is it creates a situation where your needs must be satisfied at the expense of other people's needs. And if other people felt their needs are not being satisfied, and they thought you are the cause of them not being able to satisfy their needs, then you are going to create war or conflict between these two nations, your nation and other person's nation who hold the same belief. And that is why we promote more of patriotism, which is more of a sense of loyalty than a sense of nationalism. Right. A sense of loyalty means, in this case, entails and introduces the concept that I am a Gambian because Gambia exists within a continent, Africa. So when you go loyal to Gambia, you have to understand first the Gambian ideals, do we as a country agree on who we are and what we stand for within that context of the Africanism? And then we understand, yes, Africa is part of the world. But if we stand at our nationalism level and ignore our regional integrations, our regional connection, and ignore that we are part of a global world, that whatever we do anywhere, negatively or positively, will have an impact on our country, then we are going to create war.
Yeah, we isolate ourselves.
You isolate
when
ourselves.
you isolate yourselves, you are inviting more conflict. And like I said to you, because I'll come back right for you to finish your point, but we did ask members of the public as well, what does loyalty mean to them? Just so that we don't keep it within this room, so you see you feel and hear the understanding of others as well as to what loyalty means to them. Let's hear what they have to say, and then we'll come back into the studio to continue the discussion right here as well.
Well, loyalty to me, it means doing anything to keep your country going. And then you can risk anything, including your own life, to make sure your country is on a safe side or makes it a better place for everyone to be in.
As a Muslim, they said love for your country is part of faith. So being an abiding citizen, abiding by the rules governing the country, one can work towards attaining that. Yeah, and obeying the leaders, because in Islam also it is stated that you have to obey your leaders. So obeying your leaders is like you are trying to contribute to your country also.
In loyalty to the country will be more good and more nice, because when you're loyal to the country, you have a great respect and everything will be okay. Like everybody will be happy again.
The loyalty, one has to be obedient, one must be respectful, one must not look for problems.
Is to be loyal to your people. If you are a leader, people who put to you in power. So as a citizen also, you have to be loyal to your country in a sense that you have to abide by the rules and the regulations of your leaders. Yes.
Welcome back to the studio, dear viewers. I'm sure you have heard the thoughts of the members of the public out there. And just to put it out there, it's an opinion, it's an individual opinion that people are putting out there. Whether you agree or disagree, you're totally at liberty as to what you feel about what loyalty to one's country means to you. But as I said before, we're back here to now look at from an authority perspective, where the Holy Quran, Ustaz, you know better, where the Holy Quran tells us that, O you who believe, obey Allah, atiullah wa atiur Rasul wa ulil amri minkum. You obey Allah and you obey the Messenger and those in authority over you. We are not just running around like wild beasts. We have a system, a political system where we go out and we show our opinion, we vote as to who is in charge, who is in authority for a term period. But we also at liberty to choose what to follow. But sometimes there's bipartisanism. There is that tendency of people affiliating themselves with a political party, whether it's the ruling or the opposition party. When it comes to being loyal to your country, as far as Islam teaches us, from your knowledge, from your experience, are we flexible to choose one party today and move to the other one tomorrow? Or do we have to stick with one and we can't move around, even if it's against our own core values or the values of our religion? How does one balance that?
That is a difficult thing to balance when you look at it in a religious perspective. Because the verse you quoted, there are some religious leaders of the view that even you don't have to be loyal to a nation whereby the leader is not an Islamic caliphate. The institution of the Islamic caliphate, according to some, is just what requires the loyalty of a true Muslim, a true citizen, and a true Muslim. But the verse did make any specific mentioning of a Muslim or not a Muslim. It just states, those in authority. And those in authority can also be even non-Muslims. So in that case, what do you do? Because they are in authority. So that has ruled out that first concept I have just said. And wherever you are, whether in a system run by a Muslim or not a non-Muslim, or run by the Islamic Sharia or not, you are, as a Muslim, a good Muslim, you are obliged to respect the rules and the regulations that are being put in place to guide you through. And the Prophet ﷺ has said something very interesting. He said a word of truth is the lost property of a mu'min. So wherever he finds it, let him pick it up. So that I've answered the second part of the question, whether you can just stick to your party, whether the party, what they're doing is right or wrong. You have to stick to them, like you are loyal to the party. And if in any case you are loyal to the party, whatever they do, you are okay with it, then the national interest is not represented. So everybody should look at the nation instead of his party or he himself. You know, the Prophet ﷺ has taught us that since he went to Medina, like the constitution of Medina, you know, when it was written and put in place, all Muslims and non-Muslims live together, and all of them work towards what? Upholding the rules and regulations that are put in the constitution. And that doesn't represent only the Muslims, but it also included the Muslims as well, the non-Muslims as well. So in my own opinion, in fact, it is a Muslim who should be more patriotic than any other person, because to us it is a question of responsibility and accountability to God tomorrow. Like whatever you do today pertaining to your country, you are sure that God himself is going to hold you accountable to that tomorrow. So with that belief in the back of your mind, you cannot do anything wrong within the position that you are given to hold for a just certain period of time.
Absolutely. That's indeed a very, very beautiful way of putting it. There's personal interest and there's national interest. And sometimes that's even challenged. When we go into the ballots and we vote, maybe I am an opposition and I don't agree with the ruling party. Not that I'm not, I'm just giving an example. If I choose to vote for the opposition party and the results come out and my party doesn't win, you hear you're a peace educator, you know, you stand for justice and what the Constitution tells us. From a legal perspective, and also, of course, Islam is not against it. Islam is indeed standing for it. When you show your opinion as to this is what I want to be the rules and regulations, the laws, or whatever it is, whether it's a referendum or it's election for president or whatever, it doesn't go your way. Now you're challenged. Do you stick by that for the next 5 years if it's in the Gambia, or do you help the ruling party to at least, you know, push their agenda forward? It's a very fine line, but how do we keep that discipline?
Okay. In my discussion, I've said nationalism or loyalty to one's country, meaning love to one country, includes upholding the values of that country, upholding the Constitution, and defending the Constitution. In our case, for example, in the Gambia, it's stated that it's the duty of everybody to defend and uphold the Constitution. Now, election is a constitutional issue for us. When you look at it from that angle, it is a process through which we participate in making a decision. Now, what decision are we making? We need to select one person of all the people in this country to be responsible for our affairs, be called a president, as per the Constitution. And that person has to fulfill certain criteria, and he or she has to come from one of the criteria, come from a party or an independent group. But he or she need to have a manifesto. She need to present it. This is what I want to do when I become the president within the 5-year period or so. Now, that manifesto is built on ideas. So as social beings, as human, we divide ourselves into groups to be able to sell our ideas. And this grouping become political parties. So that I cannot just come and say, I want to be president, vote for me, and I didn't have an idea because I'll be an individual. So I come from a political party, and we present our political ideology, which must be in line with the Constitution anyway, and which must look at the values of the country, which must look at the culture of the country, and all those things, and say, this is what we can do, our economy and everything. And then the other party also bring up their own. Now we have a choice. We have 2, 3, 4 people who want to be president. Then how do we select them? You cannot go and do the Badibu type and everybody sit at the Bantaba and raise their hand. You can't have the whole country at that point. So what do? They created in the political system election. So when you go to vote, you are actually participating in the decision making. I agree to this man being president, or I want this man to be president. Now when the votes are counted, the majority voted for somebody, he becomes the president. You voted for that, you elect that person into office. For me, that's the conclusion. Whether you vote for him or not, the fact that you participate in the election process, you elected him. Because if you were not there electing, if there was only one person, you will not go to the polls. So what that means, therefore, is this: I agree to this particular party's agenda, and I think it will take the country to its desired goal better than this other party. However, the majority of the people decided that this man has a better plan than mine. Then now the responsibility comes to you first. Well, I think he will do better, but actually people thought this one will do better. I will have to give him my ideas, my support, my strength, and then we move to where it goes. National interest. And the other party, also should look at me not as an opposition fighter, but as somebody who had a different view than how I want to make the country. But we are all looking for the same country, so we must, I'm using the word must, work together. Anything short of us working together will lead us to the opposite of what we all required, having a better Gambia.
That's absolutely beautiful. That's a nice way of putting it. And I'll come back to you, Ustaz Ba. So when it comes to that exhibition of our loyalty, we have looked at the theoretical perspective. Now it's practical. The way he broke it down, I believe that I'm loyal to my country. How do I responsibly exhibit that loyalty to my country? How do I show it in a way that it does not become nationalism, in a way that I don't push everyone else aside, even within my own country? How does that done in a disciplined way?
The first thing I will say is loyalty and patriotism, with all the fine words that are attached to it, cannot make any sense until and unless they are put into practice. It's like saying to somebody, I love you, and then you do the opposite. Like, the love can be understood. It can be believed that you have said it already, and for you to practice it will give life to the word. Because the word in itself, written in documents and kept or said for people to hear alone, doesn't make any change. So it's for you to say it, work towards it, and believe in it. That is what is required from all of us. And for the Islamic perspective, it's very genuine. It's like being true to your own word. You don't say one thing today, and tomorrow you act different. So once you do that, there is a contradiction. And that contradiction, whenever it is there, you lose the trust of the people, because the people are there to watch. They look at you and see what do you do. So the best thing is, whatever we come out to say, we make sure that we stick to that, and we don't do anything that is contrary to what we have already said.
So our speech and our deeds need to be in contrast. Yeah. They don't need to be conflicting. And that's if you want to add, yes.
I would like just to catalog them into 10 points of loyalty to one's nation. And the first point, we've talked about that, is to promote national prestige. We stand for something. When they look at us, we are Gambian. That is what people look at us. That is what people expect from us, because we are Gambian. Perhaps they met other Gambians who had shown that, so they expect them from the Gambia. So we have to look at national prestige. And then we always present the good reputation of our country. Wherever we go, whatever we do, we have to ask ourselves, if this is put on the news, will the people back home be proud of me? If they will not be proud of you, then you have broken that aspect of your loyalty to your country, because you are now sending, a disrepute of your nation. That's one. Number two is to uphold and defend the Constitution. To uphold and defend the Constitution means that we need to know what is in that Constitution first, and we need to act in accordance with that Constitution. And whatever we do in our life, we need to ensure it does not contradict what is in the Constitution. It may require some interpretation of so, but that is left to the lawyers and the judges. But the third one for me is to foster national unity and harmony. Because as a people, we need to love each other. We can't love our country and yet, don't love the people of that country. I'll use the words of the one we invite for the peace symposium, the second peace symposium. I forget his name. Karim. He said you can't love music and you can't love music and hate the musician. Or you can't love the musician and hate his music. So we can't love the Gambia and hate other Gambians. That will not show, anything good for ourselves. So we need to look at that and foster that. We also need to respect, the rights of other people. We have rights, all of us, and other people have rights. So we need to uphold our rights here, but we need to respect the right of other people, especially the right to freedom. The legitimate issues. Issues that people do. You have the right, I have my right. You have the right to be who you are. Have the right to be, like we just talk about being in political parties, right to assembly. By the same token, we talk about we have our religious whatever. We also have our right to our names, our nationality, and all those rights that are said. Let's respect our right and the right of others.
Just based on the points that you've mentioned so far, there is an individual might know and understand these and many of the points. I'm coming to you, Ustaz Ba. Knowing and understanding the Constitution, how to uphold the Constitution from a personal level and from a national level, how do we distinguish what is personal and what is national? I know we can say that, but I can be very passionate about something because it came from me, right? But how do I have that same attitude towards it if it was to come from someone else? I guess, in my opinion, that's what national interest is. If we can, how do we distinguish that? That's my point. That's my question.
It will be very difficult to distinguish that because whenever somebody says something, you doesn't know whether he mean it. You are not there right in his mind to judge whether he have said it with a good intention or not. But the actions always speak louder than the voice. So it's like writing just a short note and then presenting it to different people. So each one of them who reads it might have a different understanding of what it means. But as far as you, the one who wrote it, know with the intention with which you wrote it, you are okay. If it is good, you are good to go ahead. Like our English teacher used to tell us, whenever you know you are right, go ahead. Don't worry about the rest. It might be might be other people who understand your speech or your essay or whatever in different ways. But as long as deep down you are perfectly sure that you have done it or have said it for the interest of the nation and the people of the nation, for the well-being of the people of the nation, then you can march ahead. You need not to look back or go back on your word.
Absolutely. I think that's really that conviction. You can't just have an opinion, have a say, write something, but because it's been challenged once, you just give up. That won't show passion and a love for something that it wouldn't be there to you. Let's put it that way. But of course, the question is not limited to here. We have asked people how they feel that they can be loyal to their country. This is also a question we put out there in the form of a survey, in the form of getting the opinions of others as well. How can you be loyal to your country? What does it mean to you? Let's hear from some individuals who've accepted to talk to us about this, and then we'll come back to discuss the final segments of this program.
Loyalty to your country is to be a good citizen of your country. You go against corruption, and also you be resilient, and also you respect rule of law. Yeah.
Well, you can be loyal to your country in so many ways. There is a mentality that people have in their own minds that the country owes them everything, like to give them everything they need. But to me, it's the other way around. You owe everything that you are doing to your country. So in one way or the other, before blaming the government on developing the country, you have to what am I doing for my own country, for the development to go further? So you have to be loyal. And being loyal in one way or the other is make sure you are part of national development and helping in every way you can.
To be loyal to my country, I have to respect the law of the country, first of all. And secondly, myself. I have to respect myself. I know my elders, respect the government. Any order the government say this is what we should do, whether it is good or not, let us do it first before we complain.
That was indeed very interesting to hear from members of the public who have shared their thoughts as far as loyalty to one's country in application to loyalty to one's country is concerned. But coming back here into our panelists, in my case, for example, and in the case of many people who tend to migrate or move to other countries for economic reasons, for different professions, and move with family and live with other countries, loyalty to one's country there, if you would agree with me, doesn't only mean where you're born and raised in. Myself, I am Gambian, but I don't live in the Gambia, or other people who are in Germany, Italy, whatever it may be. Does it also mean that your country of residence, which may not be your origin, do you also owe some level of loyalty to that country? Or do you just completely disrespect them and just focus on where you are from, even if you don't, live in your country of origin? I mean, who would take that?
Yeah, when you look at it from the context of nationalism, then you don't worry about where you stay. Wherever you are thinking of home, 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 home. When you put it up in the context of loyalty to one's nation, I mean, you need to love the country where you stay. Because whatever you are able to do back home is because they provide it for you. They provide you the opportunity. I mean, when you migrate from your country to other country, you went there for a reason. And that reason is sustained because the people of that country had worked hard to make that country what it is, so that you can go there to study. You can go there to hustle, the words of, get money. Or you can go there to serve if you are doing some service. Because the people of that country made that country to be what it is, you can't just come and destroy it. You have to love that country too. So you have a bigger responsibility than us who stay at home, because we love our country, that's where we are, and then respect the right of others and all those things attached. But you have to respect your country, love your country, be attached to your country, act in the same way that you will love and be attached to the country of your residence. But that's where you are doing your job. That's where you have the opportunity to live your life. Yeah.
It's not at the cost of the other. No one is saying that you should now hate where you come from because you live in another country. I'm sure we'll all agree on that. But coming to you, Ustaz Ba, when we talk about our roles and our responsibilities towards our country from an Islamic perspective, for example, when the first migration by Muslims, when the Holy Prophet ﷺ told the Muslims to migrate to what is now Ethiopia, which is Abyssinia, there was a Christian ruler. And as you mentioned earlier, it doesn't necessarily have to be a Muslim, ruler. And the Prophet told them, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that he's a just ruler. You're being persecuted here, so migrate, go there. And they lived in peace, and he provided peace for them. And of course, they were loyal to that place that they found themselves in. So coming to our responsibilities towards our country, Please shed some light on that.
I think, first of all, it has to do with our upbringing and education as well. The type of education we have and upbringing at home. You see, we cannot just take it from a higher level. You know, we have to start from the grassroots level. If we practice patriotism and loyalty in our own homes, in our own compounds, and in our own communities, then that will reflect in the whole country and the whole continent and the world at large. And the next thing is our education. Our education system should be such that children from an early age, they are taught what good patriotism is, not the other way around, not the bad side of patriotism. If our children are being taught what patriotism means and how to be patriotic from an early age, I think we wouldn't have any problem when we grow up of, you know, fighting corruption, fighting all these bad things we hear every now and then on the news. So for me, it has to start from our homes and in our institutions. I know some countries who teach children from an early age what patriotism is. And you find out that if you go to those countries, you find kids, you find young ones who are very patriotic to their country. Like, for example, when I was in Ghana, I had this friend. All the time he come in the room, he will meet me listening to BBC or CNN. He was once upset with me and said, why do you always listen to this BBC and CNN? I said, because I want to hear the international news. And this man said, for me, as long as my country can give me the international news, I need not to always listen to BBC or the CNN. So that taught me something. I didn't say anything afterwards, but that taught me something. You know, that boy has grown up, he was my colleague, he has grown up to understand that his country, as long as it is capable, so he need not to find something else outside the country. And you also find out that in such countries, people prefer what is being made locally within their country to what is being imported, you know, to the country. So they like their local clothes, local foods, and all that. So if our young ones aren't taught, you know, to be patriotic from an early age, then we are going to suffer, you know, in the future.
And there's many aspects to that. You just opened up, you know, my Pandora box here. This is, you know, when we talk about mass migration, like back way, it's such a, I mean, for yourselves, you know, you've traveled to other countries, you've seen just the lack of understanding of what your country can provide and being confident in that and trying to toil, and not to, you know, to say bad, talk bad about anyone who has traveled outside. That's not the case, but you know, things like, you know, the goods that we provide aren't good enough. You know, whatever, the way we speak is not good enough. The way we sell is not good enough. I mean, it goes just on and on and on. But coming to Brother Bakary Kalleh here, within our country, the work environment, I feel here that we really need to nail this home. The corruption, the embezzlement of funds, you know, the bribery, and all of these things do not really help. We can make all the fancy speeches we want, but if at the end of the day I'm working in an office where I'm exploiting the resources of the country, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think the basis, okay, that is addressing the effect. The corruption we see, the embezzlement and all those things is an effect of a system, of systemic error. Something somewhere has not add up, and for which reason we fill the gap with what we think. And he picks from there. And that is the concept of civic education, the concept of understanding our civic responsibility. We need to know we have to be good citizens. We need to know to be a good citizen, one of the components there is to have knowledge. Knowledge that you can use to be able to work for your country also. If you don't have knowledge, you can't be able to become a good citizen. I mean, I don't say you go have a PhD, I just mean knowledge in whatever field it should be. And you need to have skills, abilities. The knowledge you have should be translated into abilities. You should be able to do something. Whether you are a cameraman, whether you are a cleaner, whether you are a driver, whether you are a carpenter, whether you are a teacher, it's a skill that you are offering to your nation. Because when you love your nation, you do something for it. So you have to have those skills. And the other one is disponibility, which is a sense of the mind. You have to have a disciplined mind. You have to prepare your mind to say, whatever I'm doing, I'm serving my country. And service to country is not to me alone. In fact, if I should choose between country and myself, I'll just choose country. Because if I choose myself, I'm talking about me. But if I choose country, I'm talking about everybody, including me. So when you sit there and you don't look at country, you will be corrupt. Yeah. You'll be looking at what do I take home, because you are not talking about me. How do I better my family? How do I ensure my child go to a good school and all those things? If I didn't have that in my salary, I'll have to look for somewhere else to fill it up. But if the concept is that whatever I am doing for the country, which includes me, I mean, I will not be able to go there. So I will not get people to go fight corruption and establish all the commissions and so, which we could have avoided. But at the starting point is from this basis, we need to teach. And I just want to add that to do that, I mean, to do that, we have to go back home. We have to understand, ask people, are we prepared? Because that's another situation. Am I prepared to take this job? Because there is employment and underemployment and all those issues. If you know the job that you are taking cannot provide for you and your family, and you go look for something that you can do, that can provide for you and your family, rather than take that job and exploit and take national resources and waste people's energy and all those things. Okay, the question will be, can I have another thing? Yes. Then now, use your ability. You have an ability to do something. I've told people, I've seen people here who have gone to school and they have not able to make it up at school. In their view, they should do something different. But I've seen people who got very good results in school and they choose to work for themselves. They get into business, they become entrepreneurs, and they are doing very well. I can count them, a lot of them.
And they're contributing. But for the interest of time,
yeah.
I'll take final thoughts from you as far as instilling that love and that loyalty into people. In 30 seconds, I'll challenge you here. How do you do that?
Okay, for Gambians, I mean, we should look at our national anthem. It starts with, for the Gambia, our homeland. So for us, whatever we do, wherever we do it, and wherever we might be in the world, you know, it should reflect that identity of a Gambian, not only a Gambian, a good citizen of the Gambia, even if you are in another country. So for us, it's a question of holding fast to our own national anthem we sing every day, you know, rather than doing anything against it. And one other thing I would like to add is always when people are talking of patriotism and loyalty, they forget one thing, which is prayer for your nation, and which our Amir has been particular. Almost every week, you know, he will remind people of pray for the country, pray for other countries, especially the Arab nations. I think that's also one important aspect of patriotism.
And even in children, instilling that into them. If you tell a child, like you said, twice, 3 times every week, pray for this, there's nothing but love that will grow, because the child will see the importance that the leader, the parent, the friend, you know, is giving towards that thing. And you're telling them about things that are happening, like you said, in the news, just the awareness of what's happening, you know, in the environment from a very, very, very young age. We see it in other countries as well. But our dear viewers, I'm sure you have enjoyed the thoughts shared by our panelists, as well as those people that we interviewed in the streets, in the society, who also shared their thoughts. This is Why Religion, coming to you from MTA Gambia, and today we discussed about loyalty to one's country. We'll continue to bring to you many, many more interesting programs From myself as your host, Abdullah Diba, and a very able panelist, I say a very warm Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu to you. May the peace and blessings of Allah Almighty be upon you all.